Welcome back to Tiny Epics. This episode is all about Athena, Greek goddess of war.
I'm also god of wisdom.
Okay, great. Perfect. Then, give us your wisdom.
As a brilliant strategist, Athena is always a few steps ahead of her opponents. But for all her calculations, her tempestuous nature sometimes gets the better of her. She's also the patroness of various crafts and skills, especially the spinning and weaving of textiles, an art form most often pursued by women in the ancient world. As a virgin goddess, the poets respectfully refrained from talking about Athena's physical beauty, but they were preoccupied with her eyes. In the epic works attributed to Homer, she's most often called Athena Glaukopis, meaning Athena the gray-eyed goddess. But the word can also mean owl-eyed. The owl is the animal most sacred to Athena. Owls have the unique ability to see in the darkness. Likewise, Athena, in the stories, is able to see what others cannot. Athena also has the ability to take on a variety of forms, and she appears to mortals as both human and sometimes as a bird. In her role as warrior goddess, Athena wears a helmet, brandishes a spear, and is often seen with a magical shield called the Aegis. At its center is the serpent-headed Medusa. Because Medusa's gaze has the power to turn mortals into stone, Athena loaned her polished shield to the hero Perseus, which allowed him to see Medusa in its reflection and successfully slay her. Perseus ultimately presented the head of Medusa to Athena, who then placed it at the center of her Aegis as a kind of amulet. The symbol of Medusa's head was commonly used in the ancient Greek world, as it was believed to have the power to avert evil influences or bad luck. Athena's Aegis is also often shown as a cloak or a breastplate. And like Athena, Greek soldiers sometimes wore the image of Medusa on their armor, as it was believed to help protect them from harm during battle. An ancient Roman story says that Medusa was a beautiful young priestess who caught the eye of Poseidon, god of the sea. He lusted after her and eventually violated her at Athena's sacred temple. Once Athena discovered what happened, she punishes Medusa by transforming her into a monstrous hybrid of woman and serpent, with the power to turn mortals to stone with her gaze. This particular account comes from Ovid, who was a Roman poet. In the Greek stories before Ovid, Athena never transforms Medusa into a monster, because Medusa was simply a monster all along. But it's worth noting that ancient Greek depictions of Medusa sometimes shed their monstrous form. In this face painting from the classical period, Medusa looks like nothing more than a sleeping angel. The violent act of cutting off her head suddenly becomes much more disturbing in this context. There is another, older story coming up which we'll discuss that involves the violation of yet another priestess, this time during the Trojan War. It has a strange similarity to Ovid's story of Medusa, but shows a completely different side of Athena's character. But before we get into that, let's take a look at how Athena was born. Athena didn't exactly have a traditional birth. In fact, it comes across as a rather dark and twisted fairy tale. The first of Zeus's 7 wives was Metis, embodiment of wisdom. After she became pregnant, it was prophesied that their powerful children would overthrow their father. So Zeus panicked, turned Metis into a fly, and swallowed her. After many months, Zeus began to experience excruciating headaches, and it suddenly occurred to him.
I'm pregnant.
The pain was so unbearable that Zeus ordered his head cut open with an axe to relieve the pressure. Athena then leaped from her father's head, fully formed, armed for battle, and announced her arrival with a piercing war cry. According to legend, Athena competed against Poseidon for patronage of an unnamed city. They agreed that whoever came up with the better gift would become its patron. Poseidon produced a spring by striking the ground with his trident, symbolizing naval power. Athena touched her spear to the ground and brought forth the sacred olive tree, symbolizing peace and economic prosperity. Athena was declared the winner, and the city was named Athens in her honor. In another version of this story, all the women vote for the goddess and all the men vote for the god. The women outnumber the men by 1, so Athena was declared the winner. In both stories, Poseidon is a really poor sport and is so enraged at losing that he whips up a great storm to threaten the goddess and her people. Nevertheless, his temper tantrum doesn't work, and the outcome is the same in both stories. Athena keeps the city of Athens. Athena was one of the 3 goddesses whose feud over a beauty contest was said to be one of the main events that set the Trojan War into motion. It all began when Zeus held a banquet in celebration of the marriage of Peleus and Thetis, parents to Achilles who would go on to become the famous Greek hero to fight at Troy. Zeus invited all his nearest and dearest, but left out Eris, goddess of discord, fearing she would wreck the party.
I really felt quite distressed at not receiving an invitation.
Angered by this snub, Eris snuck in and threw a golden apple among the guests with an inscription that said, "For the fairest one." As the story goes, Athena, Aphrodite, and Hera all began to fight over who the apple should be given to. So they asked Zeus to decide, but he wisely opted out and appointed Paris, a rather pretty prince of Troy, as the man to resolve the dispute. And this is why the story is called the Judgement of Paris. While Paris judged their beauty, each goddess attempted to bribe him with a gift. Hera offered to make him king of Europe and Asia, Athena offered him wisdom and victory in any battle, and Aphrodite offered him the world's most beautiful woman, who was named Helen. And so Paris followed his heart and chose Aphrodite's offer. But there was an obstacle in the way. Helen was already married to King Menelaus of Sparta. Paris makes his way to Sparta, seduces Helen, and takes her back to Troy with him. This, of course, incurs the wrath of not only Menelaus and the Greeks, but several of the Olympian gods as well, especially Athena. And so she decides to help the Greeks in their quest to sack the city of Troy and win back Helen. The embittered Athena helps to inspire several heroes throughout the war. One of her all-time favorites was Odysseus. This clip shows Odysseus having just left his wife and newborn son on his way to go fight at Troy.
Because you fear your future?
Me? I'm afraid of nothing.
I'm teasing you. You're angry with me.
Athena, you could have had me persuade Agamemnon on the day of my son's birth, no less.
I'm a goddess after all. I have other duties. And don't forget, I can be seen by whom I choose.
Odysseus suddenly realizes Athena has been keeping watch, leading him to war all along. She sharpened her spear and wants to see Trojan blood spilled.
I did not want you to escape this journey, because I want you to go. I want you, my brave Odysseus, to defeat the Trojans.
10 bitter years would pass before the Greeks would take the city of Troy. In the final days of the Trojan War, Homer compares Athena to a brilliant meteor, flying through the sky as she descended from Mount Olympus to help the Greeks in battle. He also says that fire flashed from her eyes. It's clear that the ancient Greeks saw her as a formidable goddess. But Athena also showed pity towards one of the Trojans in the tragic story of Princess Cassandra, sister of Paris. Cassandra had the unique ability to see the future after the god Apollo fell in love with her and gave her the gift of prophecy. When it failed to make her love him back, Apollo cursed Cassandra to always be disbelieved in spite of the truth of her words.
No crime against gods or man have I committed, save to speak the truth. And each hideous vision born from my mind has come to pass.
During the fall of Troy, Cassandra sought refuge in the temple of Athena, where she clung to a wooden statue of the goddess for protection. She was, however, violated by Ajax the Lesser. Cassandra clung so tightly to the statue that Ajax knocked it from its stand as he dragged her away. One account claimed that Athena, who had worked so hard to help the Greeks destroy Troy, was not able to restrain her tears, and her cheeks burned with anger. Here we have a completely different picture of Athena compared to Ovid's story of Medusa. In this story, she empathizes with the victim, despite the fact that, as a Trojan woman, she was technically Athena's enemy. At the beginning of the war, Athena was the fiercest defender of the Greeks. When it was over, she had become their bitterest enemy. She was angry at all Greeks indiscriminately for their hubris at Troy, and specifically for what happened to Cassandra in her temple. Although they won the war, many of the Greek heroes died terrible deaths or have an incredibly arduous and long journey home, like Odysseus. It takes a long time, but Athena eventually takes pity on Odysseus and his men, and becomes a guiding force on their way back home to Ithaca. Athena ultimately shows great remorse that she punished the Greeks and especially Odysseus for as long as she did. There is so much more I could say about Athena, but I think I'll save it for a future video. If you liked what you saw, it would mean a lot to me if you'd take the time to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Now that I've shared some of what I find most interesting about Athena, I'd like to know, how do you see her? If you'd like to learn more about the Greek gods and goddesses, please have a look at some of my other videos in my Greek mythology playlist. Thanks so much for watching.